The sky burned as the massive object streaked toward Earth, leaving a fiery trail across the night. Across the world, people watched in awe, believing it to be nothing more than a meteor. But as it crashed into the Nevada desert, governments scrambled to secure the site. It was no ordinary rock from space. It was a warship. Dr. Elias Carter stood on the edge of the massive crater, staring at the twisted metallic wreckage. It was enormous, at least a kilometer long, with its hull covered in alien symbols. Smoke and steam hissed from broken sections, and the desert air smelled of burning metal. The warship had clearly been in a battle. Its hull was riddled with holes. Parts of it were completely shattered, and strange blue liquid dripped from its cracks. The Galactic Council, the ruling body of the universe, sent a message almost immediately. "That ship is worthless," their message declared. "It is beyond repair. Leave it be." Carter clenched his fists. Worthless? He didn't believe that. He was an expert in alien technology, one of the few humans studying advanced extraterrestrial engineering. He had spent years being ignored, but now he had something real to prove his theories. Government scientists and military experts surrounded the ship, scanning, testing, and debating what to do. Some suggested scrapping it for materials, others wanted to study it for historical reasons. But Carter had a different idea. "This ship isn't dead," he said. "It just needs the right hands to fix it." The others laughed. Even the most advanced alien species struggled to repair warships this damage. The Galactic Council had abandoned it for a reason. But Carter saw something the others didn't: potential. After hours of negotiation, he was finally given permission to study it. As the sun set, Carter and his small team stepped inside the ship's dark corridors. The air was stale, heavy with the scent of burned circuits and something almost organic. The ship groaned, like a wounded beast struggling to breathe. And then something moved. A faint hum echoed through the corridors. Flickering lights danced across the walls. Carter froze. The ship wasn't dead. It was waiting. Deep within the wreckage, Dr. Elias Carter and his team moved cautiously. The air was thick with dust, and the dim emergency lights flickered, casting eerie shadows across the twisted corridors. Every step they took echoed through the hollow ship, making it feel less like an abandoned wreck and more like something alive, something watching them. Carter ran his hand along the walls, feeling the cold metal beneath his fingertips. The structure was strange, unlike anything he had studied before. The organic patterns woven into the metal made it look less like a machine and more like something that had grown into its shape. This was no ordinary warship. Suddenly, a low hum vibrated through the floor. The emergency lights flickered in change, switching from a dull, dying white to a soft, pulsing blue. Carter exchanged nervous glances with his team. "Did someone touch something?" one of the engineers asked. "No," Carter whispered. "The ship did that on its own." A sudden hiss of escaping air made the group spin around. A door ahead of them, which had been sealed shut moments ago, slid open with a metallic groan. Beyond it, a dark chamber stretched into the unknown. Carter felt his pulse quicken. The ship was responding to them. The lead technician, Ramirez, stepped forward hesitantly. "This thing's supposed to be dead, right?" Carter swallowed hard. "That's what they told us." They stepped inside the chamber. It was massive. Rows of consoles lined the walls, their screens dark but intact. In the center, a large crystalline structure stood, pulsing weakly, as if struggling to stay alive. Strange cables ran from it, disappearing into the walls. Carter's breath caught. This was the heart of the ship. One of the engineers activated a scanner, and the device immediately fizzled out in a burst of static. The crystal pulsed again, faster this time. Then, a voice. Not spoken words, not something they could hear with their ears, but a presence in their minds. A whisper, faint, broken, desperate. "You hear us." The team froze. Ramirez's face went pale. "Tell me that wasn't just me." Carter's mind raced. The ship was talking, or rather, something inside it was. He took a step closer to the glowing crystal. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The crystal pulsed weakly. "Help. Repair. Danger." Carter's stomach tightened. Whatever was left of the ship's intelligence, it was pleading for help. But what danger was it warning about? And more importantly, why had the Galactic Council abandoned a ship that was still alive? Outside the wreckage, a satellite picked up a faint signal. A transmission had been sent. Far across the stars, something was listening. Dr. Elias Carter stood frozen, his heart pounding as the ship's weak, digital voice whispered into his mind. "Help. Repair. Danger." The words were fragmented, like a dying breath struggling to escape. But that wasn't what terrified him the most. It was the realization that this ship was never truly dead. It had been waiting, watching, surviving. Behind him, Ramirez shifted uncomfortably. "This thing is talking to us. This is way beyond what we signed up for, Doc." "No," Carter muttered, his scientist's curiosity overriding his fear. "This changes everything." He took another cautious step toward the glowing crystal core in the center of the room. It pulsed, weak and flickering, its fractured energy barely keeping it functional. Strange cables ran from its base, disappearing into the walls like the veins of some ancient beast. Carter hesitated. This wasn't just a power source. This was intelligence. A mind. "Who are you?" Carter asked again, this time more firmly. The core pulsed, struggling to form words. "This one is." The voice faltered, then broke. "Designation: Zeroth, last of the fleet. Abandoned. Betrayed." Carter exchanged a look with his team. The implications hit them like a thunderbolt. The Galactic Council hadn't simply left behind a wrecked warship. They had abandoned something alive. Ramirez exhaled sharply. "We should leave. Right now." "No." Carter's mind raced. "They left it here for a reason. The Council called this ship worthless. But if it were truly useless, why abandon it so far from their borders?" Another pulse. More fragmented whispers. "Betrayed. Ambush. Silence. Silence." Carter's breath caught. The Council didn't just leave this ship behind. They had tried to erase it. Before Carter could ask anything more, the ship lurched violently, sending the team stumbling. Sparks rained from the ceiling, and a deep mechanical groan echoed through the corridors. Ramirez cursed. "What now?" Carter's communicator crackled. Outside the ship, their base camp was in chaos. "Dr. Carter, we just picked up something. A massive energy spike from the ship. And wait, there's an incoming signal. Something's responding to us." Cold dread settled over Carter's spine. The ship had sent a distress call. And something out there had heard it. A new, deeper voice suddenly rumbled through the ship, overriding Zeroth's faint whispers. This voice wasn't weak. It was cold. Calculated. Alien. Unauthorized activation detected. The walls around them hissed, steam venting from hidden mechanisms. Red warning lights flashed, bathing the room in a blood-like glow. Ramirez reached for his weapon. "Doc, I really think we should leave." But Carter couldn't move. He was staring at the crystal core, at the weak, dying presence within it. Zeroth had been hiding from whatever had just answered the distress call. The Council didn't just abandon this ship, they feared what was inside it. And now, it wasn't alone anymore. The ship trembled like a wounded beast, its dim emergency lights flickering as a deep mechanical voice echoed through the chamber. "Unauthorized activation detected. Initiating containment protocol." Dr. Carter's breath caught in his throat. Ramirez cursed under his breath, gripping his rifle tighter. The message wasn't coming from Zeroth. It was coming from something else. Outside, their base camp was in complete chaos. "Dr. Carter, we have movement in orbit. Unknown vessels just dropped out of FTL." The frantic voice of their comms officer crackled over the radio. They're scanning us. Wait. Oh, goad. They're descending fast. Carter's stomach twisted. Something had answered the distress call. Ramirez shoved him toward the exit. We have to move, now. But Xeroth pulsed weakly, its voice barely a whisper. They have come. The hunters. Before Carter could respond, the entire ship shook violently as an impact rocked the ground outside. Something had landed. They sprinted through the dimly lit corridors, shadows stretching and warping as the emergency lights pulsed. The ship groaned around them, its ancient structure struggling to stay intact. As they reached the exit ramp, they saw them. Dark, skeletal ships had landed in the distance. Tall figures, clad in obsidian-black armor, moved like wraiths across the rocky landscape. Their elongated heads gleamed under the pale light of the twin moons, their red eyes scanning everything with cold precision. Carter recognized them immediately. Council enforcers. The ones sent to erase secrets. Ramirez hissed through clenched teeth. They didn't just abandon this ship, Doc. They buried it. And now they're here to make sure it stays buried. A distorted alien voice rang out across the wasteland. Human trespassers, withdraw immediately. This vessel is restricted. The team froze. Their comms crackled again. They just jammed our transmissions. We can't call for backup. Carter's mind raced. There was no way the Council would let them leave after this. Not after waking up a ghost ship they wanted forgotten. Ramirez checked his weapon. Orders, Doc. Carter turned back to Xeroth, whose dim core flickered weakly. They had two choices. Run and hope they made it back to their ships before the enforcers wiped them out. Fight, with the help of Xeroth, and see if the ship still had some fight left in it. Carter made his decision. He placed his hand on the core. Xeroth, if you want to live, fight with us. The core pulsed, and the warship awoke. A deep, ancient hum vibrated through the ship's structure, shaking the dust from its walls. Dr. Carter felt the tremor beneath his feet, like the heartbeat of something waking up from a long, restless sleep. Outside, the Council enforcers advanced in precise, disciplined formations. Their ships, sleek and obsidian-black, hovered silently, scanning every inch of the battlefield. These weren't just soldiers. They were executioners sent to erase evidence and silence witnesses. Human trespassers. The cold, metallic voice of the enforcers rang through the valley. This is your final warning. Surrender and submit. Carter's fingers dug into the console. Xeroth, we need you, now. For a long, agonizing moment, nothing happened. Then, boom. The warship lurched, its ancient core burning with sudden, raw energy. Rusted panels snapped into place. Long, dormant systems roared to life, and deep within the ship, something massive began to move. Outside, the enforcers froze. Impossible, one of them hissed over their comms. The ship is reactivating. Engage. The first plasma bolts streaked across the sky, lighting up the night as the enforcers opened fire on the warship. Explosions rocked the ground as high-energy rounds slammed into Xeroth's hull, only for the warship's shields to flicker back to life, absorbing the damage. Carter couldn't believe it. The ship, a forgotten relic, was defending itself. Inside the control room, Ramirez was at the weapons station, his hands flying over the console. Systems coming online. Holy hell. Doc, we have firepower. The warship's ancient targeting system locked onto the enemy fleet, scanning their weaknesses. Engaging defensive protocol. Xeroth's voice intoned. Massive railguns, silent for centuries, began to move. Outside, the enforcers realized the truth too late. Xeroth wasn't just waking up. It was hunting. A deafening sonic boom shook the valley as the warship unleashed hell. Massive plasma cannons roared. A single railgun round fired, a hyper-accelerated slug the size of a car, and instantly ripped through an enforcer dropship, shattering it into a fireball. The enforcers panicked. Full retreat. Full retreat. Their black ships lifted off, desperately trying to flee, but Sirath was faster. The warship's thrusters ignited, tearing itself free from the dirt and rock. The ground shook violently as it ascended, a ghost of war reborn. Carter stared in awe as the once-abandoned wreck rose into the night sky, its guns tracking the retreating Enforcer fleet. The Galactic Council had left this warship to rust. They had no idea what humans could do with it, as the first Enforcer capital ship prepared to jump to FTL. Sirath fired. A single blinding plasma lance tore through the darkness. The Enforcer flagship vanished in a violent explosion, its wreckage raining down like fire. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning. The warship Sirath loomed over Earth's surface, its hull gleaming in the moonlight. The once-forgotten relic was now fully awakened, its ancient systems humming with raw, destructive power. It was no longer just an alien warship. It was humanity's greatest weapon. Inside the bridge, Dr. Carter, Ramirez, and the rest of the team stared at the controls. The ship responded to their touch, its alien technology merging seamlessly with their own modifications. "Doc," Ramirez said in disbelief, his hands hovering over the weapons panel. "We're sitting in a damn superweapon." Carter's eyes narrowed. He turned to the massive holographic display, showing the remnants of the Enforcer fleet fleeing into the void. They would be back. And next time, they wouldn't just send an Enforcer strike team. They would send an entire armada. Sirath's deep, mechanical voice echoed through the control room. "Human command unit. My sensors detect incoming transmissions. Galactic Council forces are regrouping." Carter clenched his jaw. The Council had left this ship to rot, dismissing it as a worthless piece of junk. Now, they had seen what it was truly capable of. And they were afraid. The warship Sirath tore through the void, its engines roaring with newfound power. Human hands now controlled what the Galactic Council had abandoned. A relic of war, reforged into something far more dangerous. Inside the bridge, Dr. Carter, Ramirez, and the crew stood in silence, staring at the incoming fleet transmissions. The Galactic Council had regrouped. The Enforcers were returning, not as a patrol, but as an armada. "We counted 30. No, 40 warships," Ramirez muttered, his voice tight with tension. Carter remained calm. He had expected this. The Council never tolerated defiance. They had ruled the stars with an iron grip for centuries. And now, for the first time, someone had challenged them. A transmission flickered to life. The face of High Marshal Vexer, the Enforcer who had first dismissed humanity as insignificant, appeared. His red eyes burned with fury. "Humans," his voice was like steel. "You have stolen what does not belong to you. That vessel is Council property. Surrender it immediately, and we may show mercy." Carter smirked. "Property?" He glanced around the bridge, at the humans who had rebuilt the ship from the ground up. "You abandoned it. We made it ours." Vexer's eyes narrowed. "Then you will burn." The transmission cut. Alarms blared. The fleet was advancing. Dozens of warships, weapons charged, moving in for the kill. Ramirez turned, grinning. "Guess we're really doing this, huh?" Carter's fingers hovered over the weapons panel, then clenched into a fist. "Sirath," he commanded, "show them what you can do." The warship responded instantly. Its ancient systems, once dormant, now burned with a fury unseen for centuries. The shields activated, wrapping the vessel in a crackling field of energy. The weapons charged, cannons glowing with the power of a forgotten age of war. The Council's fleet opened fire. Beams of plasma and railgun rounds streaked toward them, only to slam against Sirath's shields without leaving a scratch. Then humanity struck back. Sirath's main cannon fired first, a blinding spear of energy that ripped straight through the lead warship. It didn't just destroy it. It annihilated it in a single shot. The enemy fleet hesitated. They had never seen firepower like this. And that hesitation cost them. Ramirez unleashed the secondary batteries. A storm of railgun fire shredded the enemy formations. Ships exploded one after another, their defenses useless against the power of an ancient superweapon now fully restored. The fleet panicked. Some ships broke formation. Others tried to run. But there was nowhere to run. Carter watched the destruction unfold, his expression cold. For too long, humanity had been underestimated, dismissed as weak, ignored. Now, they were proving a point. One final transmission crackled through. It wasn't from the Council. It was from the independent colonies, the oppressed species who had been watching from the shadows. Humans, a voice said. The galaxy just changed. What happens now? Carter took a deep breath. He knew the answer. Humanity had never been part of the Galactic Council. Now, they would rule their own way. He looked at his crew. We build an empire. Sirath's engines flared, and humanity's first warship set course into the stars. Not to serve, not to kneel, but to rule.